Is there the potential for anything to be announced, Gautam, that could be taken negatively by the market?
Yes, potential is always there, which is why we are hoping that this budget passes off as just another event without creating too much of a volatility. And as we have seen in the last 2, 3 budgets in India, no negative news on the budget day is itself considered as a positive news. So there are fears that there will be some tinkering around the long-term capital gains tax structure and duration and things around it. See, usually I've seen over the last 7, 8 years now, 10, 15 days before the budget, this speculation around potential tinkering of tax rates for capital gains, income tax starts building up. The last 3 years, not much has changed. And we are hoping that this year also it remains a speculation and government continues the policy continuity on tax rate and ensures stability there. And at the margin provides some relief towards to the bottom of the pyramid consumer, because consumption has been slowing down for the last 9 months. And as you pointed out, this is the last full year budget for the government before the general elections 2024. It also coincides with 8 big state elections in CY23. So government will also want to ensure that there's money in the hands of consumer before government goes in for the big election calendar. So we are hoping some relief giveaways to the middle class and lower income bottom of the pyramid population, and no changes and no tinkering in the capital gains tax structure to ensure stability and continuity.
Gautam, I've got to ask you though, because you're suggesting that we're going to see prudence. There's relatively little wiggle room in terms of, you know, the standard to form populist budgets that we have sometimes seen out of the Modi government. But can they afford not to spend big right now, not to really try and drive down on, I suppose, provide some kind of fiscal support to drive down the unemployment rate in India?
Yeah, so you will see, if you look at the government's approach over the last 8 years, this is a government which is focused on supply side of the equation rather than pump priming the economy through demand boosting measures. They've been very categorical in stating that they, in fact, even at the peak of the pandemic, this government didn't provide any fiscal stimulus, so to say. What was provided was a very targeted benefits programs like a free food scheme, which continued for 2, 3 years, and it's continuing even this year. So I do not expect any big fiscal stimulus, so to say, and government can ill afford that given the kind of headwinds that we are seeing in CY23. A lot of global pressures which are emerging. Domestic growth itself is moderating a bit from what we have seen in FY22 and FY23. So I expect the government to focus on capex, which it has, by the way. The capital spending of the government in the last 5 years has tripled from 2.5 trillion to 7.5 trillion. And we are expecting a 20% higher outlay for capital spending for FY24. Second, I expect the government to continue providing incentives to manufacturing and production link incentive scheme, which has been a big success area for this government over the last 3 years, with focus on manufacturing, Make in India, PLI, and push towards exports. And then at the margin, you can find some very targeted relief programs, as I mentioned at the beginning, for the bottom of the pyramid population.